Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Chiropractic Student Podcast. Today we are joined by Dr. Jonathan Clarke. We're going to call him John today. He loves being called John. He works down in Cornwall. He's the first ever chiropractic clinic in Saltash called Saltash Chiropractic Clinic. Really lovely guy. I've heard him talk a couple of times. Thank you so much, John, for coming on the show.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure, Lewis. Pleasure to be here.
Amazing. So we'll jump straight in. Could you just give us a little bit about your background in chiropractic, where you started, where you are now, and fill the gaps in between?
Of course. Bit of a double whammy for me because I got into it in two different ways in some respects. Initially, I went to school locally to where I live in a small county town called Tavistock. It was a boarding school. I went to board when I was 6. Been in kind of that public school area from 6 to 18, and I played rugby. If anyone's met me, you could probably guessed from my build. The camp side of me hadn't come out yet, so I was still rugby kid. And and a ruck collapsed on top of me when I was 16 and broke my neck in 2 places and blew a disc in my lower back. So
sound effects. I was like, sorry.
It was as bad as it sounds. I had sciatica down both my legs. I suffered migraines about 3 or 4 times a week, and I had something called full body painful paralysis, which feels like someone's sticking hot pokers into every part at the same time. So when I now talk to patients about pain, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And I did, my folks did what everyone does, went to my GP, lovely GP, won't say anything bad about her. She's just retired, actually. She looked after me and the family for many years, and she did what she could do. So she gave me a long list of rather strong painkillers, and for me, it didn't make any difference. So I went back and she gave me a stronger lot, and it still didn't work. So someone said to me at the time, well, family, have you ever considered going to a chiropractor? And I was 16. I was like, what do they do? Backs or feet? Well, we're going to do one of them. But ended up being taken to a chiropractor in Plymouth. And after starting care, it did make a difference. My folks started care as well because they explained to us how chiropractic works from a whole health point of view. The fact that your brain and nervous system run everything, and as long as your brain and body are talking to each other properly, you can stay healthy and well. Any challenges to that can stop your brain from being able to process properly what's going on and lead you down the path of potentially things not working as well and dysfunction, and then potentially expressing symptoms. And it made sense. And chiropractors remove interferences or challenges that might stop the body from functioning at its best. So based on what they'd explained, I kind of went, okay, that makes sense. And we as a family started getting care, and very quickly my sciatica started to ease up, my migraine started to disappear, and most importantly for me, that painful paralysis eased off. But like anyone else in the early stages of care, it was a case of, oh, brilliant, I'm better now. So that all came to an end. I then went off to uni up in Bristol doing biomedical sciences, studied there for 3 years. And while doing that, I was studying martial arts. And one of the sessions we were talking about future goals and aspirations. And I was like, I know I want to do something medical, but I've got this thing, I just feel like I can put my hands on people and make them better. And that's when I got reminded, because my instructor at the time went, well, it sounds like you want to be a chiropractor. I was like, oh my God, now you've said that kind of out loud, it was like a penny dropping. So when I came home after uni, I looked around for work, and as luck certainly would have it, there was a job going at a chiropractic clinic in Plymouth, and I, for my sins, ended up as a CA for Melissa Sandford at the time. So I and another girl called Kaz both interviewed, and they did open interviews they worked in an open plan practice. At the time she was married to Wade Whittingham, and he and her were interviewing, and I told them I was looking to become a chiropractor. So for their sins, they then took me on. So I was a chiropractic assistant first with Kaz for about a year and a half, 2 years before I went to AECC. So I was very lucky to have been exposed to a lot of principled and vitalistic, or certainly philosophically based chiropractic, and in practice, literally in practice, as well as lots of seminars. So I went to seminars with the likes of Nari Cannon, who had a CA university in Australia, and she was teaching CAs how to be CAs. It was that big a thing. and went to, I think, the second ever Chiro Europe. No, not Chiro Europe, Chiropractic Essentials, the first ever UCA, the second ever UCA conference. I was lucky enough to go to. So I was kind of working for them at the inception of the United Chiropractic Association. So got to hear some just incredible people. Like, I got adjusted, if anyone knows Jim Sigafoose or heard of, I was adjusted by him. It was awesome.
Nice.
So these are the kind of people in the world that you just think now, people go, oh, I wish I could hear these people talk. And I was like, well, I did as a CA, let alone as a chiropractor. Reggie Gold, another, if you haven't heard of him, he would be someone I would say to anybody, regardless of where you sit on your understanding of what chiropractic is. As having done biomedical sciences myself and coming from quite a scientific background, listening to his Chemistry of Life lecture, which is on YouTube. It's an hour. It's literally an hour of your life just to sit and listen to that Chemistry of Life talk from Reggie Gold. It is one of the most pivotal things that I listened to very, very early in my chiropractic career that just set the tone, because he just bridges the biochemistry, the physiology, the anatomy with the philosophy of chiropractic so beautifully. I haven't heard anyone do it better. So I cannot recommend that as enough as something to listen to. So long story short, no, it isn't. I'm just going to keep talking. It was, so I went to AECC after working as a CA, and I would strongly recommend any chiropractic student, if you get the opportunity to work as a chiropractic assistant in a chiropractic clinic, I cannot recommend it highly enough. It gives you a much broader understanding of what's expected of your front desk teams. So when you graduate and you are the fully fledged chiropractor, look at me, I am Dr. So-and-so, DC, da-da-da. Actually, you need to know what you're expecting of the guys on the front desk. So if you get the opportunity to do any work or work experience, I would, don't make it think it's beneath you to go and work on a front desk. I think that is so valuable because you'll get so much information from doing that. So got the opportunity to do all that before I even went to college. And then I went to AECC up in Bournemouth and went through 4 years because I already had a degree in biomedical sciences. So I was able to skip the first year. So I jumped straight into second year. So I did a 4-year course. And I think it was about 3 months in before I became the bar manager. So I was then the bar manager all the way through my course. And shame on you all. When we were there, the bar was open every single night until 11, 12 o'clock at night, and there was queues of taxis outside to take people off to the bars. I believe it is no longer like that, and my heart breaks for the students at AECC who don't have that experience any longer. If you didn't come away with cirrhosis, you weren't doing it well enough.
Was it still called like the Toggler's Arms when you?
It was always called the Toggler's Arms. It was always called. And well, I say that I have no idea when it started, but it certainly was when I arrived. And so lots of great conversations with some great chiropractors across the bar with a pint in hand, and basically letting them drink themselves into telling me stories that is far too long for this talk now, and B, probably highly inappropriate. But nevertheless, I did hear a few great stories from a few great people. And then when I graduated, I came back and I got an opportunity to work as a chiropractor for Wayne in Plymouth again. And then a couple of years later, I had the opportunity to open a practice of my own in the Saltash in Cornwall. So I have been there now since 2008. So do the math whenever you listen to this, it'll be whatever the number is of how long I've worked there. But I started in 2008 and have just gone kind of from strength to strength. I work in an open plan practice, if anyone cares, and I have only work 3 days a week, which is really quite nice. And I've got currently a few CAs working for me. And shameless plug, I am about to put an advert out for associates who might like to come and work in a holiday destination. So if anyone listening fancies a job in Cornwall, give me a call or give me a shout out or a messenger or whatever, and we can have a chat and see if you want to come and join me down in Cornwall.
You're really selling it. I love it.
Yeah,
I just
holiday destination. Why wouldn't you want to come? I should be inundated. You should all be writing me an application right now going, he lives in Cornwall, for Christ's sake. I am going to go and see where he lives.
But who lives in Cornwall? That's the thing.
Exactly.
No
Beautiful people.
Okay.
No one is. Yeah, but that's the point. That's the other misnomer. When people think, oh, but who's in Cornwall? Is it I need to be somewhere really, really busy? That's kind of such a misnomer, because where I am now, I live in a town of what, 30,000 people, but Plymouth is like kind of on my doorstep in some respects, and that's like 250,000 people. But relative to a number of other individual practitioners in the country, not practices with multiple chiropractors, I grant you, but as an individual chiropractor, I'm seeing more patients than most people in the country. So it's not about how many people you have, it's about sharing the message and educating and helping people understand the benefits of care. And if you can do that, then, and you can do it properly and ethically and kindly and responsibly, then you can do incredibly well. Doesn't matter how many people live around you. And I've got Newquay, what is 15 minutes, half an hour away from where I live. So if you surf, give us a call. I don't. I hate beaches. It's the most random thing. I'm surrounded by beaches and I hate sand.
Fistral Beach is like surfer's heaven.
I know, but I can walk past the beach and I don't even need to step on it, and I come home with the sand down my pants and I'm like, why? How does it attack you like that? How does sand jump up and attack you from the beach? It knows you don't like it.
I mean, you've not really.
I told you I was going to go down a rabbit hole. I didn't realize I was going to go down a sand down your pants rabbit hole, but I did go down a rabbit hole.
That's a different podcast altogether.
Yeah, come back later, right? X-rated chiropractic.
Yeah, exactly. Use the start one. It'd be perfect. So you've covered quite a lot actually there, going through, and I've written down a few things. So obviously you mentioned some talks by Sigafoose and Reggie Gold. They've come up a couple of times in previous podcasts. I know that there's the podcast Sig Talks, which Carrie Sigafoose basically gives a little bit of a narrative for Jim, and I've listened to every single one of those. I'm so jealous that you've been adjusted and been able to speak.
There's loads of free ones, because certainly with the Sig Talks, for example, you can buy into it if you choose to and get everything. But there's for someone who doesn't know, and who I might be saying the name Jim Sigafoose, and you're like, yeah, who's that? The point is so many of these people have stuff on YouTube. So if you have any interest in broadening your understanding of where some of the ideas of the philosophy have come from and have been built upon and developed, the philosophy of chiropractic as one of the three legs of the stool isn't still the philosophy in 1905 and 1915. That was the concept, that was the birth of some of the philosophy, but it's been developed and grown and built upon and understood and reinterpreted and worked with the knowledge we now have. So it's easy sometimes to go, because like people will go, oh, the green books, and if you don't know the green books, they are things that were written by BJ Palmer, DD Palmer. I hope you know who they are, because if you don't, we're in real trouble. But they're kind of the original stuff, and some of it is really, really heavy reading. Now, for me, that just doesn't work. I struggle. I can't get through the stuff. But what I can do is I can listen to stuff that's been put down and understood and interpreted by people in a more modern way that uses that information but turns it into something that we can all understand and get in teeth into in the modern world. So if one thing doesn't work for you, just because if someone says, oh, you've got to read the green books if you want to understand philosophy, that's not true. You've just got to find what resonates with you. You've got to listen to different speakers and find out what their understanding is. How do they interpret what's being said, and how do we work that into what we know is evidence-based kind of science, modern day science and understanding. So it doesn't have to be indoctrinated from an old standpoint. That's a great benchmark from which to grow and develop. And if you can get through them, because there's some great information in there. But don't feel that's a need. It doesn't mean you have to do it. It's recommended if that's an interest to you, but you don't have to do it. There's so many other people. Like I said, the Chemistry of Life, Reggie Gold, is one of my most kind of, it's my go. If I had to kind of bottle down to one thing, it's my go-to for everybody, because I think it bridges so beautifully the concepts of, like I said, physiology, biochemistry, and the philosophies of chiropractic so beautifully that it's a great starting point for everyone across the board. Rather than kind of said, if I said jump into a Sinnott book or something like that, like, oh my God, what the hell am I reading? This is completely, I don't get any of this. Whereas with the chemistry of life, it bridges the whole gambit so well that once you've listened to that, I would challenge anybody to go, oh wow, okay, there's more to this than I might have thought.
So that's like a really nice go-to point for the students to start off with in terms of resources. And you've mentioned other talks and working.
It's an hour. Love Island's over there. If you could
I'm a Celeb is on right now.
yeah. If you can watch I'm a Celeb for an hour, you can listen to a chemistry of life talk for an hour. That's all it is. And you listen to it. You don't even have to read. You can download it into your ears.
Yeah, amazing. And you can probably download it onto your phone, and you don't even have to have internet. You can listen to it in the car or anything. I've not listened to Chemistry of Life, but I listened to The Valley of the Blind, which is really good for me. Helped me a lot, by Reggie Gold.
And this is the thing. This is exactly the right thing. You can find things that resonate with you. The thing that comes with the longevity of a career, and I hope to have a lot more than I've had, but with the longevity of a career is that you can choose to immerse yourself amongst people all the time. So most of the pearls of wisdom that I get generally are from the seminars, going to seminars. So like you said, the United Chiropractic Association seminar, UCA, they do the spring conference, they do the autumn CE. That's a great conference. That's got a wide variety of people at it. You can get to the Edinburgh lectures, which is like half hour to an hour lectures from different people across a whole wide remit of different things. You don't even need to go out of the country to go to a lot of the different things that you can hear in the UK. But if you are from further afield, or you want to go further afield, there are plenty of things in Europe, there are plenty of things in the States, but you can get to seminars and just listen to people and see what works for you, what doesn't work for you. I've sat in conferences, well, hundreds probably by this stage, and I have sat at many of them philosophical, admittedly, some of them more practice-based. Brad Glowaki's like Art of the Close, that was excellent. That's really useful for understanding how to do health talks and how to talk to large groups of people. I've been to stuff by Shubal Vision, Shubal AM, and all that malarkey, and I've taken the mick out of him quite a few times. But what you will find is by going to things, even if it doesn't sit necessarily directly with where you currently are, you may hear something someone says and you go, that's brilliant. The rest of that shit, but that's brilliant. And that's the point, is you will get little vignettes and little kind of talking points and ideas and concepts that you just go, that's what I came here for. So when people say you take one nugget, they are genuine, that is true. You will go to some things and you'll spend a whole weekend listening to stuff and you will come away and one thing, it may be in a sentence, it may be an idea, it may be something you can do or something you can implement. And that's what you spent your money going for, because that one thing you bring back with you makes such a big difference. My growth through my practice has been taking these vignettes and taking these ideas and taking these nuggets from so many different seminars and just implementing them when I get home. The luxury you have when you have your own practice is I don't need then to come home and go to a practice owner and go, I've just heard this, can we do it? I come home and go, right, this is how we work now. We're now doing this. And one of the kind of biggest things I've always implored anyone to do is, if you are sat in an audience, no matter how long, whether you're at the beginning of your career, whether you're halfway through or wherever in your career, if someone stands up in front of you on the stage and you're listening to what they're saying and you're going, this is gold, and they are standing there saying, look, I promise you, if you do this, this will make a difference for you and how your practice works. Trust them, because it's mad. We sit with every single, whether you want to call them patients, practice member, clients, whatever you choose to call them, I don't care. When you are sat with your patient, every single patient that sits in front of you, you are asking them to trust you. I am going to explain to you what's going on, whether you say to them, you've got facet dysfunction at L4 or 5, or whether you've got frozen shoulder, you've got migraines, or whether you choose to go down the path of saying, my role is to release stress from your nervous system and help your body function better. Every single one of us is going to say, no matter how we come at this, this isn't a quick fix. This isn't going to happen in one visit. So I'm going to need you to trust me enough to pay me a reasonable amount of money for my service. You're going to have to trust me enough to come to X number of visits. You're going to have to trust me in the fact you may never have been to a chiropractor before. You may have had people say to you, don't go to chiropractors, they just crack your bones. You've listened to what I've said to you. You've made a decision, and I'm asking you to trust me. And we ask that of every single person that comes and sits in front of us. Yet we will be the same person who will go to a seminar, have someone who's in our own eyes done well and is doing well, and then says to us, please do this, trust me. And we go, no, no, that wouldn't work for me. I'm not going to do that. It's nuts. It makes literally no sense that we aren't willing ourselves to do what we ask every single person who sits in front of us to do. So I would implore you, if you go to a seminar, if you go and speak to someone, you go and observe a practice and you see something that works for you and it resonates with you, and someone says to you, please just trust me, do this, do it. Because they're not telling you for any other reason except they want you to do well. They're not going, when he does that, his clinic's going to close, it's all going to go horribly wrong. They're not doing that. They're doing it because they want you to come back and go, oh my God, do you remember when you said to me, do this? And oh, I went home and I did it and it was amazing. And I can't tell you how. That's what they're telling you for. So honestly, I know it seems I've labored the point a bit, but the number of people I see over and over and over again at seminars who go, oh yeah, no, I was going to do talks. Oh yeah, no, I know I need to go and do talks. Oh yeah, I'll do it next time. No, I'll definitely do it. And 10 years have gone by. Are you still doing talks? No. Why not? Oh, I just, why?
Yeah.
You see, so that's that would be one of my biggie, like so many people have stood up and told you, look, just go and talk to people. It's scary. Yeah, I know. Just go and talk to people. Yeah. It's the best thing you'll ever do. So I went to, and that was an example, I went to careEurope, which I was lucky enough to kind of compare for a few years. So if anyone's been over there, they might have seen me dancing around the stage in a flamingo suit. But I hosted it for a few years, and I not hosted it, that's not right, I was the compare for it. So Mark Hudson and Lynn, and people have what they say about all these different people, like Schubelnator and Mark Hudson. Don't get into the politics of it. You're not there for the politics, you're there to go and learn, absorb, listen to people around you, all the people in the group. So get rid of all that crap in case anyone goes, oh, but as soon as you go, oh, but you're closing your mind and you can't expand if your mind's closed. So go and listen to people, I've learned the most from people I've rubbed up the wrong way against and gone, oh, I really don't like it. I find that person really difficult. But actually, I've ended up getting the best out of them because they've made me question what they've said a lot more than someone I've really kind of aspired to and go, wow, look at them, they're amazing. I don't pay attention to the amazing people. I pay attention to the people I think are going to rub me up the wrong way. And then you actually learn more. But they said about doing, for me, it worked. Whether it will for anyone listening here, I don't know, but I'm sure it can for some of you, was to do a mandatory healthcare class, which is basically doing a talk prior to someone coming in for an examination. So I went to a seminar with my mum, who's my practice manager, and we listened to this. And exactly this, I had people on the stage, Stu Bittman, most beautiful man, if you ever get the chance to listen to him speak, he's just a really beautiful soul. Mark Hudson was another, and a few others who were saying, look, please just do this free healthcare class so that you can explain what it is you do. Then patients are under no illusions. If they choose to join you, they know what it is you're standing for. And if they choose to join you based on that, they've not spent any money. They've given some time because they came and listened to a class, but they've only given time at this point. So you're not leading them up the garden path. If they then come and join you and you say, right, great, based on what I said at my talk, this is how we work. Great, no problems. But if someone comes into your practice thinking you're going to deal with their their back pain, and you're then going to go through an hour examination, an hour report of findings. You're going to do a few visits with them, and they're going, but hang on, why aren't you treating my back pain? It's like, oh, well, we don't do that here. We're very much now you've cheated them. You've basically brought them and lied to them, because you've said, oh yeah, I'll bring you in with back pain and then I'll do this chiropractic thing later. So by doing the healthcare class first, you're kind of saying to them, this is what I do, this is what I don't do. If you want this, that's brilliant, but you're going to need to go and see someone else. But if what I've said makes sense to you and you think, yeah, great, I want some of that, then you can come and join us if you choose to. So would
you suggest like a student come up with their own talk, like a way that they think that they could understand chiropractic, that they could then tell their friends and family and things like that?
One of the most ridiculous things that anyone could ever do is start from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that with the greatest respect, because the whole idea of coming up with your own when there are literally thousands to copy is ludicrous.
So find one that resonates with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I used the chemistry of life talk, or I've talked about, as the basis for the talk I now deliver. I put my own stories in there, I put my own experiences in there, but I used it as my basis. Don't start with a blank piece of paper in front of you and go, I'm going to write a healthcare talk, because you're not. You'll just be staring at a blank piece of paper for a long time thinking, I can't do this. So just listen to, or any of the free ones, send me a message. I'll send you mine. I've got a copy of my one, which I did on stage in Spain, to show people how you can do one. But I started off by saying to them, don't copy this because it's not yours. I've listened to, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, if he would listen to this. So I listened to Mark Hudson do his healthcare talk, the mandatory healthcare class he does. There is no way on this earth I could deliver his talk. I just couldn't do it. It does not resonate with me at all. I just, not one bit of it I like. But it works for him because it works for him. So the patients that listen to his talk when he gives it absolutely go, yes, that's for me. And that's why he has one of the busiest practices he does. But I sit here with a complete, almost diametrically opposed personality to Mark, and I could never deliver the talk he delivers. But it was useful to listen to, because there was a couple of sentences and there was a phrase where I thought, yeah, that's a clever way of putting it. But the rest of it, no way, I can't do that. But so don't listen to one and just go, oh, well, that's it, I can't do a talk because I don't agree with that. Listen to others. Like, mine's completely different to his, and I know mine will be completely different to other people's. But we're all saying the same thing, but we're saying it from our intention, where we're coming from, so that ultimately we're telling the people who choose to join us in our practice what we do and what we don't do. And so they can make a choice, they can make an informed decision. So absolutely listen to lots of different versions of talks. Just get a framework that works well for you, and borrow, steal, copy, shamelessly steal from anyone or everyone, because nobody has created their own unique talk. It is always an amalgamation of others. So don't start with a blank piece of paper. Listen to lots, get a few, get some bits you love, the broad idea, and how you're going to roughly pace it. So at the beginning of the talk, you're going to look at giving a bit of background, if you choose to. My talk basically is a bit of background to anatomy and physiology. It's then it moves into how the stress response of the body is, and how we respond to different types of stress, and what physiologically happens within the body under stress, and then how the nervous system is involved in monitoring, maintaining, and the function of all the systems of the body, and then how the effect of spinal dysfunction can have on the communication of the brain and the processing of information coming into the system, and therefore finishing, if you like, with how chiropractic has an effect on spinal movement, which can then have an effect on the neurology, which has an effect on the physiology, which has an effect on our overall health. And so it has a chronology through the talk that ends up with chiropractic being at the very end. But by building the patient's understanding of how the body works first, means that by the time you get to the chiropractic, it's like, oh yeah, well, that's obvious.
Yeah. So, oh, and by the
Because
way, this is how it all links to chiropractic. Does that all make
yeah,
sense? And they're all kind of like nodding and saying, yeah.
yeah, I think that one of the silliest things you can ever do, because one of the things that's worth always trying is your elevator speech. And if you've not heard of what the elevator speech is, that's where within the doors closing of an elevator and the doors opening, you've explained to someone what chiropractic is. The difficulty is in some respects, Keith Wasson is brilliant for this. He is a chiropractic patient. He is not a chiropractor. He was a semi-professional, I think, wrestler in the States. I think he was a wrestler. He'll forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think he was semi-professional, maybe professional wrestler in the States, and he got injured and his health was really, really not good. And he ended up under chiropractic care, and it made such a difference to him. He is a huge proponent now for chiropractic, and just can talk the hind legs off a donkey. But he is very, very good at articulating chiropractic in layman's terms. And so he's got a Facebook page, and you can look on, and he has his elevator speech on there. And I think he does it beautifully, because he takes the approach that the moment someone says to you, what do you do? And you say a chiropractor, that person is most likely now putting over you everything they think they know what chiropractic is. So if someone says to you, oh, what do you do for a living? And you go a chiropractor, you've kind of shut yourself down already on what else you might say, because they've now gone, oh, back and neck guy cracks backs.
Yeah.
And they've put on you their little understanding of what chiropractic is. So
what do you say?
No, well, I'm going to tell you kind of his, because his is better than mine.
Okay.
Because I tried to do this, and so when I say we're all learning, this is me learning as well, because I very much still fall into the first camp and then go, oh bollocks, I shouldn't have said that. Yeah. Whereas his concept is that you turn around and you say, well, I work with the human body to help improve health without the need for drugs and medication, and I have an incredible way of making lives better. What do you do? Do you leave them hanging? You've just told them this incredible thing. It's like you whisper, it's like conspiratorial. You like bring them in. Well, I do this amazing thing where I can help people express their health to the very best of their abilities. I can help them heal I can help their body heal against lots of challenges they may face without any drugs or surgery. Anyway, what do you do?
Well, before even answering, they're probably like, what the fuck do you do?
They're now trying to tell you what they're doing while they're thinking, what do you do?
This guy's a wizard.
So, it's so clever. It's so clever. But you've got to have balls. You've got to have balls to say it. And because it's so instinctual to go, I'm a chiropractor. And then you go, oh, yeah, I've completely wasted the opportunity to
I'm a sucker for that. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to literally try that now.
Oh, so good. It's so hard, but I've done it with people, and I have done it a few times, and I kind of pluck up the courage. And like I say, 14 years of practice, if you can do this at the beginning, this is gold stuff here, because if you can do this from the beginning, it will become your norm. At the moment, it's not my norm, so I have to kind of encourage myself to say these things. But the truth is, when you say them, you watch people's faces go, what do you do then? I need to know now, because then they invite you to tell them more, rather than the pleasantry that was, oh, what do you do? What do I do? They go, actually, what do you do? Can you explain that some more? And you go, okay, well, you've got a minute. Now, the elevator speech was getting them to be interested. Now, when they're interested, they're going to invite you to tell them more information. Please, can you explain that? And then, again, you still don't talk about chiropractic yet. You do a version of what I explained as the talk, but in mini version. So you know how your brain runs everything, and your nervous system is communicating, sending information backwards and forth. Yeah. Well, if your brain and body are talking to each other well, you can effectively stay healthy and well. Your brain knows how to run your body, and as long as they're talking well, they can stay healthy and well. But when we face stress and challenge, that can impede the function of our nervous system, can stop it working as well as it should. And we have born with an alarm system that says, help me, something's wrong. And we might have symptoms of some kind or challenges of some kind, but they are just symptoms. They are your body's way of saying help. So what I do is I help remove any challenges from your nervous system so that your brain and body can communicate properly, strong, healthy, and well, so that you can return to a state of working properly. And we do that by accessing it through your spine and nervous system, because if we have stress in the body, it can restrict movement of spinal joints. We can find areas don't work and function as well as they should. So what I can do is I can tap into that, encourage movement back where it needs to be, allow the nervous system to function properly so that you can get back to health. And that's what we call chiropractic.
If anyone didn't just like snippet that alone into like their brain and just soak that in, then I was just completely encapsulated by that.
But it is just it's
But that is what we do.
Mine. It's not mine. It's clever, and it's Keith Watting's. And this is what I mean. When you hear something from someone,
I love that.
You take something from someone and go, that is genius.
That is genius. I literally love that.
You're either going to sit and go, oh, but I couldn't do it. Or he's going to say, trust me, do this.
Yeah. Do you trust me? And they're like, wow, you seem like you know what you're doing.
Say, if you explain something in a way that is simple, layman's speech, okay, we could sit here now as chiropractic students or chiropractors or whatever, and we could go into the neurophysiological pathways that Heidi Horvick and others have come up with and really get into frontal lobe and all that crap. But Joe Public don't give a shit. If you can simply explain that your brain runs everything in your body, and as long as the brain and body are talking to each other, you have the ability to stay healthy and well and function at your best, we can. I say to patients, at no point do you seriously think, let's just take sciatica. Do you seriously think you were walking along one day and your brain said, right, just for a laugh, let's see what sciatica feels like for 12 weeks. I've heard Tours of College. I've heard that's hysterical. Let's try that out. Migraines, get in. I want to do that for the next 6 years. No, your brain isn't out to get you. It's just not necessarily functioning as well as it should, and it's not coordinating as well as it should. So there's a disharmony. Something's not working in your body properly. So let's have a look at that. Let's not treat sciatica. Let's figure out why your brain is not solving the problem itself.
I love how passionate you talk about this. No, I mean, like, the way that you put things is really in depth, but also like quite elegant on the surface. Like, you have snippets of where you're saying things that are just like absolute snippets of gold, and then you're going in and you're explaining in depth what's happening there, which is great for like.
I'm trying to give you the two things. Because I'm trying to give you the 2 points, because obviously the surface stuff is what you're going to talk about with your patients. But what I'm hopefully babbling a bit, but what I'm hopefully trying to show you is that there's a connection between, as a chiropractic student, and everything you study and learn, which is so important. It is so important that I think, and I will go down a little rabbit hole here, because there can sometimes, whether you know or not, I sat on the board for the United Chiropractic Association. I sat on the board for a few years. And one of the things that kept coming up, certainly at the junior level, when I say junior level, I mean the student level, or certainly the first few years of practice, is that there's this big kind of disharmony between what vitalism might be, or what vitalistic chiropractic is from that side of it, compared to the studies at college. And they're just teaching how to be pseudo doctors, that sort of language. And I really strongly disagree with that, because I personally have chosen to practice in a way that is very much, and this might be a new term to some of you, I would suggest looking it up. It's called a salutogenic model. In a nutshell, you have pathogenesis and salutogenesis. Pathogenesis is the study of disease and things that kill people, and salutogenesis is the study of things that keep us healthy. Now, personally, I kind of think that that's what we do. You may or may not agree, and I say we to the people who might be listening, but salutogenesis is the study of keeping people healthy, and beyond just the mere absence of sickness and disease. So I would hopefully contest, there's my cuckoo clock in the background if you can hear that, I would hopefully contest that any chiropractor, irrespective of where they may choose to sit on a spectrum, would really sit in a salutogenic model, which is the striving for health. And therefore, when we are studying, and we're studying all the things we have to do for physiology, anatomy, diagnosis, all these sorts of things, I am a very, very strong believer. It is far more important to have the knowledge and not need it than need the knowledge and not have it. So I'm going to say something slightly contentious. If you were there when I did my backs talk, I will at the backs conference a few years ago.
Yep.
I tend to lean towards something, and don't all take a sharp intake of breath and switch off. I do something called non-diagnostic, non-therapeutic care. Okay, let me qualify that very quickly for those who have just gone, oh, well, he's talking crap. The idea of diagnosing someone with a condition is pathogenesis, treatment of the condition or disease. I am very grateful for the knowledge and understanding I received at the ACC to recognize warning signs and to know when to refer people out and to know when people need more emergency care than what I can currently give them. Mm-hmm. But I choose to offer a service where I say to a patient, my job is to remove stress off your nervous system and allow your body to function properly. It is not to diagnose, treat, or cure specific conditions or diseases. That, in my opinion, is medical doctor territory. Yeah. So I don't go down the path of diagnosing specific conditions and diseases because I've explained to our patients before they start, that's not what I do. And I don't have to either. Because and if you're going, oh yeah, but the GCC say you have to diagnose, you weren't at the backs conference. The GCC quote says, it is a chiropractor's responsibility to either to come up with a working diagnosis or a rationale for care. So you don't have to have a diagnosis. You do have to have a diagnosis or a rationale for care. And so when you think, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, a rationale for care is just saying why you're choosing to look after that patient. So let's have a definition of chiropractic care. Well, you think, okay, well, I can say whatever I like. So rather than just say whatever I like, I'll say what the GCC say, the rationale, what care is. Mm-hmm. So according to the GCC, care delivered by a chiropractor, quote, interventions by chiropractors that are designed to improve health, covering, promoting health, maintaining health, and preventing ill health and addressing health needs. That is the definition of chiropractic care according to the GCC.
That is basically salutogenesis as well, what you were saying earlier.
Exactly. So if we say then, when a patient comes to see me, the rationale for the care that I'm giving is to improve health, promote health, maintain health, and prevent ill health, I am doing exactly what the GCC have said I should be doing. Nowhere in their definition of chiropractic care within the GCC does it say the treatment of X, Y, Z. It says we are welcome to treat X, Y, and Z, and A, B, and C, back pain, neck pain, chronic, whatever.
Yeah.
You are welcome to treat those things, but the definition of care is to improve health, promote health, maintain health, and prevent ill health. So as a rationale for care, if your rationale is that I'm trying to prevent ill health, promote health, maintain health, then I'm doing what the GCC have asked me to do. So when I say non-diagnostic, I mean that my goal is to do that, which is prevent health, promote health, maintain health, and prevent ill health. So that's my goal. That's my rationale for care. Therefore, I don't need to be diagnosing individual conditions. I can choose to. And if I take x-rays, I have to, but I don't take x-rays. So I kind of went off tangent there, but I wanted to qualify what I meant by non-diagnostic, non-therapeutic, because it's not a treatment for conditions. It is a care delivered in order to promote health, maintain health, prevent ill health. That's it. And if our patients understand that when they start care, then great. If I say I'm going to treat your sciatica in the first 3 visits and then 4 visits in go, oh no, by the way, I'm actually doing this, then I've lied to the patient. But if I explain to them at the beginning what I'm choosing to do, and they voluntarily choose to start care based on that, then we're all happy. So you can sit anywhere on a spectrum and you can give care in any way you like, but it has to be fair and it has to be with the understanding and the union of the patient. But this, you know, when I said I was going to go down a rabbit hole, I went so far down that rabbit hole, I forgot where I started.
That's okay. We have, like, you've gone so much into, like, then deeper into clinic care and everything about patient and patient awareness and patient education, and then how you get that across. Like, there's so much gold there. I don't worry, I've been writing it down like in different
I
sections what
think
you've been
now
talking
you've said
about.
that. Now you said that. I think where I was saying we're sitting on a board is that people that I've got my thread back. Thank you, Lewis. I was talking about when people say, oh, well, if you belong in one camp or another camp, you don't deserve to be in each other's camp, or people get argued about, and they're saying they're learning unnecessary stuff at chiropractic college. No, you're not. You are learning everything you need that you may never need again, but it's better to have it than better to know it and not need it.
Yes.
An example of that would be when I had a patient lying on my table and I was looking after them in the model I look after, and they had a pulsatile abdomen. Now, if I didn't know through my studies of diagnostics and through the stuff taught to me at college that a pulsatile abdomen could be indicative of a AAA, I might have ignored it. But because I had been taught that information, and it was in, I'm stupid and call me sad, but I call it the mind palace, like Shakespeare, not Shakespeare, like Sherlock Holmes, his mind palace. Because it was in there, something went, that's really important, John. You really need to pay attention to that. And I went, okay, right, let's figure that out. I went, yeah, AAA. So I said to the patient, okay, not to alarm you, but this is really something that needs to be addressed right here and right now. I'm going to ask you to get in your car and just pop over to the A&E department at Derriford, our big hospital in Plymouth. I said, just say you've been to the chiropractor, he noticed his pulsatile abdomen, and he says it's really important you come in. They did this, and then 3 hours later, we got a phone call from his wife saying, you've just saved my husband's life. He's now in the operating theatre having a AAA sorted out.
Jeez.
If I didn't have that diagnostic skill from having been taught it, then that patient could well have gone home and died, literally died. It could have burst and died.
Yeah.
So when I say it's so important to have the knowledge base, I truly mean that. It is so useful to have it. It doesn't mean when I talk about non-diagnostic, non-therapeutic care that we ignore stuff. And I will say that to patients. I will not knowingly overlook something that needs care and attention. I will refer you to the people that need to do it. So don't be under the illusion that by choosing to go to one end of a spectrum doesn't mean the other end is as important and as valuable.
That's your education as well, yeah.
It is. And that's why sometimes you might be there thinking, but I'm philosophical, I want to practice subluxation-based chiropractic care. Great, good, bully for you. But still learn all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because one day you might have a patient lying on your table who's about to die from a burst AAA. So learn your stuff, learn it all, understand it all, and then put it in a cupboard and go, hopefully I will never need any of that if I choose to go down that path. But likewise, you might be someone who absolutely loves sports and wants to get into the sporting world. Well, you're going to need to keep most of those cupboard doors open because you're going to use it a lot. If that's the realm you want to be in, if you want to be in proper kind of rehab world, you want to be working with top athletes, you're going to need those tools at your fingertips all the time because that's what the world you want to go into. Now, if anyone has seen me, the closest Jim is swearing. Gin is the correct spelling. Jim should be spelled G-I-N as far as I know. So it is, that's not my world. That's not what I want to do. Brilliant for those who want to do it. I absolutely love working with families. I love working with children and kids. I love the little old ladies from the WI. That is my world. So I love that style of practice. So I'm not going to need that stuff out of that cupboard very often because of how I work. Doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just what we choose to do, as long as it's within the spectrum and it's within its ethical, proper, safe chiropractic care. There's no right or wrong to this. There's no, you must do this, you mustn't do that. You must be this, you mustn't be that. That's rubbish. It's important that we all value each other's opinions. It's important that we respect each other's choices on how we choose to work. And it's important to listen to the person who works differently from you rather than just assume you know what they talk about, what they're doing. We all hate it across the board when we say to a person in a lift, I'm a chiropractor, and we know they've just gone in their heads, you crack backs, you break necks, you cause strokes, I'm never going to see you. Doesn't matter where you are on that spectrum, we all hate the fact that someone else puts on us their very closed-minded, like very single-focused understanding of what we do. We all hate it. So why should we hate it any less when a colleague does it to us? If they're not going to be, if someone isn't going to be willing to listen to what you actually do, not what you think I do, then we don't stand a chance. But as a profession, if we're willing to speak to the people, we don't work like them, but I'm willing to listen to how you do it and have it explained to me and go, well, yeah, okay, that makes sense. That's not for me. That's great. It's not for me, but I understand what you do. I think that's brilliant. And I think if everyone listening can do that with an open mind and listen to other people's approaches and points of view and go, either, oh, wow, I didn't know that existed, I'd love to find out more, that's great, or that's fantastic, but I want to do this, that's great too. Just be open to listening to how people work and what they're doing, rather than being told by someone else who doesn't do it, this is what they do. That's the worst situation, is being in a room with someone who's saying, oh, these people, they do that bad thing. How do you know? Have you spoken to them? No, but I know they're doing the bad thing. So I'm going to tell you they're doing a bad thing. Well, you don't know. So why should you be telling me that they're doing something bad if you haven't even bothered to talk to them?
Oh my God. This is like a talk in itself. We've got a whole, like, we've just got pure gold for like a whole hour. I think that's like a really nice place for people to like start. We've got I've written down so many things for us to like, what you've been helping for like these students and anyone who's listening. Obviously, your clinic's in Saltash and you're looking for us an associate to start soon.
I'm at the point now where I'm looking to hopefully bring associates into the practice, look over about 4 to 5 years ideally, where I would be able to help them, support them, train them, give them an understanding where they might then be able to go and open their own practice. Yeah, I think it would be great if we can nurture people through education, understanding, give you the tools, skills, and strategies that you would be in a position where you could then go and open a practice or build on what it is your passion is. I just love to be a kind of part of that journey where we can take you from where you are now and get you to the point where you could competently, safely, and confidently do it yourself.
So if people want to get, go on.
No, that's it. I said that's my goal.
Okay.
Is really to give people that chance.
If people want to find out more and get in touch with you and have a chat and come and have a look, obviously we know you're in the Saltash Chiropractic Clinic. How can people contact you?
They can contact me through email, which is Dr. John, DRJON DC 41 @gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook. I've got 2 pages. One's a chiropractic one, one's my personal one. The kind of, well, both of them you can find me on. They're pretty straightforward. The John DC is my kind of professionally, John Clarke DC is my professional chiropractic, Saltash Chiropractic page where you can message me there. So again, that's JON CLARKE DC, or you can just find me Jonathan Clarke on Facebook as well, both of which you can message me happily and get hold of me there. I think that's pretty much it. If you look up Saltash Chiropractic, you can email us, you can contact us directly. But if you've got an interest and you're either coming up to graduating or you're graduating a few years, but you'd like to come and observe, something I've said resonated, you think you want to come and see how we do what we do, you're welcome to come down and observe the practice. I'd love to show people how we do what we do and give you some kind of understandings and build on your promotions going forward. And if you want some support while you're going through college, if you need any help getting to a seminar or going off to something, I'm happy to offer my support and to kind of sponsor some students who might want to be doing something going forwards. If there's anyone who's listening and thinking, yeah, it sounds great, I want to find out a bit more from you, or I'd like some support or help getting to this conference or going to that conference, let me know, give me a shout, and we can hopefully get something organized and hopefully make life just that bit brighter for you when you graduate.
Wow, that's amazing that you're offering to help students out like that, and people jump on that. Like it doesn't come very very often. You're the first person to openly like kind of offer a helping hand without, I mean,
Well, I go
it's
with
lovely.
the idea of pay it
Yeah.
forwards, because ultimately people have helped me and supported me when I was going through college, and helping me when I graduated, and people bent over backwards, and I think you pay that forwards. And if I can do that for someone now, and they come out the other side and they're better for it, and they can grow and have a great career in this profession, genuinely, it is an awesome profession to be in. I love it every day. I love going to work every day. I have an amazing time. My practice is not quiet. If you're looking for somewhere really quiet and zen like you, don't apply for a job for me. It's loud, full on laughter. So come and observe, come and see how open plan works, come and see how you can see all ages, come and watch. You'd be very, very welcome.
Thank you so much. And I have one final question.
Fire away.
Are you going to be doing your Christmas singing this year?
Most likely. My panto, I do our first panto back after lockdown, is opening a week tomorrow night. Mother Goose. I play Kevin. I play Mother Goose's son. So if people don't know what pantomime is, I'm not going to explain it to you now. British pantomime is very unique.
I just love
it. I play the character that talks to the audience. As you can imagine, shy and retiring that I am. So I usually play buttons, wishy-washy, the kind of character that just tells jokes to the audience and is on their side all the way through the show. So our first one after lockdown opens a week tomorrow for Mother Goose for a week. So yeah, I've got a lot of entertainment stuff. I'm pretty sure there'll be a song up again for Christmas. Might even do a quiz if we're lucky.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I'll definitely be on board for that. Thank you so much, John, for coming on the show. And thank you everyone else for listening. Be sure to reach out, get in contact with John. He has so much more to give. As you can tell, he can talk to you for so long. He's got so much inside of his head that he wants to get out.
If you ever want me back, Lewis, I'm happy to give the time. If people are willing to listen again to my ramblings, then I'm very happy to come back whenever time. If you want me to go to college and you want me to come and speak to a group of people, I'm happy to do that. It's the more that you guys can understand, it's all for your benefit. It's going to be what can help you grow and be the best chiropractor possible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciated it.
Thank you.